My family, I believe about 2 weeks ago, that's when the government of Ghana brought the new prices of cocoa.
Government has, by this decision, increased the producer price significantly by 62.58% in US dollar terms.
So when the new prices was introduced, a lot of people were not happy with it. Because it went from 3,100 cedis to 3,228 cedis, which means literally it means that 128 cedis was increased to the cocoa farmers. So a lot of the farmers were not happy.
Cocoa, God, why dare you? Why dare you?
And one thing we forget to take into consideration is that the cocoa bag is not 50 kilos, it is 64 kilos. And this is one of the things that make the cocoa farmers very agitated.
It is significant to note that for the 2024 and 2025 crop season, the previous administration set an FOB value of 4,850 per ton of cocoa.
And I want to play a video of an old man, which he was talking about that he will sell his bag of cocoa, then he will give the 128 cedis to the government after selling his cocoa by himself, not to the government. Let's watch this one.
I'm asking Mr. Dr. Etuforsen, you should set up a foundation, a Two Austin Foundation, and I will donate 128 cedis, 35 pesos to him for every bag of cocoa that I'll harvest this year, so that I'll let him know that without his 128 cedis, 75 pesos, I will survive.
So one of the things we neglect when we are dealing with cocoa farmers, most of those cocoa farmers are from the villages. Most of those who produce cocoa for Ghana for the export, they are from the villages, and because of that, and they are older people that do those business. So it is painful when they are not happy. So when you check about the countries in Africa that export cocoa to the Western world, I think Ghana is number 2 or 3 or 3rd in Africa. And when something like this happens, the opposition party will use it for politics. So MPP tried to use this for politics. Listen to what they said.
You agree with me that our hard-working cocoa farmers deserve better price of 3,228.75 Ghana cedis.
So we didn't have enough time to talk about this because of the city incident that was happening in the country. Number one, the legendary musician Daddy Luva passed on. And secondly, we had children who had accident. About 17 children died at the age of below 16. Then thirdly, we have ministers of state and military men who had accident in their plane crash. So we didn't talk about this issue more. So now let's dive into the issue concerning the cocoa price. Let me explain it into details for you to understand.
Today, the Ivorian farmer at the current exchange rate is receiving the equivalent of 3,635 Ghana cedis per bag of 64 kilos.
Oh, the genesis of all this agitation from the farmers started from President Mahama, when he went to make campaign promises that when it comes to power, the cocoa farmer will get 70% of the money of the export they made to the foreign world. So when the money comes, they will give them 70% of the income. That was what President Mahama said.
We will ensure our commitment to pay our farmers 70% of the world market price of cocoa.
So based on what President Mahama said during the campaign, a lot of people in the cocoa areas voted for President John Dramani Mahama. But when he got to power, the reality hit him.
Last year, a bag was costing around 3,100 Ghana cedis. Now, with the same bag, you will be getting 3,228 cedis.
So before I proceed further with this video, there are 3 things I want to educate my listeners. Please, if you are following this page, please listen to this very well. It is the government of Ghana. One, it is the government of Ghana that controls the price of the cocoa. That is why Cocoa Board was set up. to control and regulate the price of the cocoa. Secondly, just like how they did with gold board that Mahama just implemented, that every good in Ghana will be bought by the government, and that one, it is the government that will set the price to pay. And secondly, it is the government that buy every cocoa in Ghana. You cannot sell it to any other person outside Ghana, but within Ghana it can be sold. But at the end of the day, it is the government that buy it and export the product. And thirdly, the transaction and the exchange and the trade is being made in dollars. So when the dollar appreciates, the cocoa farmer will gain. But when the dollar depreciates, the cocoa farmer is losing. This is why this is what makes the difference. Why the prices of the cocoa is not stable. When the dollar appreciates, the cocoa farmer gets more money. But when the dollar depreciates against the cedi, they also suffer loss. Let's listen to this.
Cocoa no dollar near ton the cedi. Yet yes sir. Now your ton dollar na omutia yen dollar. Omutia dollar na sa dollar no call Bank of Ghana. Sa eno ka foreign exchange a buying a destabilizing currency and therefore the economy. Now say eco Bank of Ghana no ema yen Cedis per Bank of Ghana rate.
This also applies to us content creators like YouTubers. For instance, if your content, you are able to make $100 at the end of the month and the dollar rate is 15 cedis, it means that you are going to get 1,500 cedis. But when the cedi appreciate and the dollar depreciated, the same $100 you will be getting what like for instance, now the dollar is now 10 cedis. Instead of 1,500 I'm making earlier on, now I'll be making 1,000 cedis because the dollar has depreciated and the cedis has appreciated.
There is always a dollar value, which is what we get for the cocoa.
So let's get this very straight. I want you to know that Ghana, one of the issues is not only related to the dollar, it's also related to our country Ghana, because we don't have maximum use of the cocoa. We don't have much company that produce cocoa, or many people that depend on cocoa drink, just like the foreign world. So about 80 to 90% of all the production of the cocoa are being exported to countries that those things are needed more than Ghana. So now fast forward, let's talk about the cocoa price. In the previous administration under Akufo-Addo, our cocoa price was 3,100 Ghana cedis. That's as at 2024, because every year there is an increment in the cocoa price. So now, according to President Mahama, when they did their budget, the minister said now they've increased it to 3,228 of the price, because every year there is an increment. The farmer were not happy because according to the campaign promise President Mahama made to them is that they will get 70% of the money they exported. And due to what I said earlier on, farmers were not happy. As at that time the cocoa farmers were agitating, this video were trending. I paused. I wanted to get understanding into the video. So I thought cocoa price will increase as everybody thought, but due to one or two things we didn't know until I got the understanding. That is why I'm making this video.
There is the dollar value. So dollar value no, and you determine a percentage ebe ko for and at the ebe ko other stakeholders. Who yes dollar rate ni we are. No one multiply no by the exchange rate. And no and ebe mao the ebe ko kweni ni ho, the ebe ko LBC ho, the ebe ko haulage for ho, the ebe ko we ho, the ebe ko we ho. That is how it is done.
So now what the government of Ghana is saying that the previous government under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the dollar was around 15 to 16 cedis. And that is why the cocoa farmer were getting much money. Okay, now under President John Dramani Mahama, the dollar now has been stabilized by the government, because when you check the Bank of Ghana rate, it is between 10.6 to 10.7. It is not up to $11. So now, because the cocoa is at the mercy of the dollar, when the dollar appreciated, the cocoa farmers in Ghana tend to gain much money. But when the dollar depreciates against the cedi, the cocoa farmer loses. So basically the cocoa farmers are operating under the mercy of the dollar. If the dollar is performing well, the cocoa farmer will get more money. But when the dollar is not performing well against the cedi, the cocoa farmers also are losing income.
There is always a dollar value, which is what we get for the cocoa.
So one of the things we must understand is that if the cocoa trade are being done in Ghana, like the government of President John Mahama has no excuse. But because we export it, it is also at the mercy of the dollar, as I said earlier on.
The cocoa no $1 near ton cedi. Now your ton dollar na omutia yen dollar. Omutia dollar na sa dollar no call Bank of Ghana. Say e call Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana no ema yen Cedis per Bank of Ghana rate.
So another thing the government of Ghana went on to talk about, government said, is that they've reduced certain taxes and they cancel and abolish certain taxes like the e-levy, the COVID tax, some of the taxes they will. They said as at when the cocoa price was 3,100, the cedi was around 16 cedis. But now that the dollar is running by around 10.6, it has reduced. It means practically the cocoa price is supposed to reduce, but they still maintain the same amount.
From March ending now, cedi no start to say drop, you know. So let's say April, no. Drop here to 10. Now the SSL cocoa board there say in case you throw LBCs ni na say henceforth no to your farmer no be man 31,775 because exchange rate no you have 10 cedis. What you say? And a bag no be 1,970. But Omanpenina buy say no, cocoa board you can't do that. Continue paying the farmer the same value, no?
So what the government is saying that when the dollar was 16 cedis per dollar, the cocoa price was 3,001. Now that the dollar has depreciated and the cedi has appreciated, the supposed price for the cocoa bag is supposed to be 1,937. But the government of the day said that they should continue to pay the farmer. They shouldn't change the price.
80. What it meant was that they say, you know, we now needed $4,800 to be able to maintain paying the farmer 3,100 and now 49,600 a bag.
So what the government of the day is saying is that if the cedi was still at 16 cedis per a dollar and the dollar has not depreciated to 10 cedis 60 pesos, like the current amount the cocoa farmer will be earning was supposed to be 4,723 and not 3,100 as earlier on.
Cocoa, meton cocoa April, the same dollar value no money, and yes sir. But about Bank of Ghana will not give me times 60. Bank of Ghana be money rate, current rate. So what happened was that such situation by no farmer share no had moved from 63.9% to 99.80. And all other stakeholders they are now dropping from 36.1% to 0.20%. Government was subsidizing by 1,114 cedis a bag. Because exchange rate yes no now in case see a farmer no 1,970 or so. But buying say consumer 3,100 no. Whatever the difference is no, we will sort that out.
So the pricing affecting the cocoa price is another issue. There is another issue that is the cocoa board CEO also raised, Randy Abbey. He said when MPP were in government, they used the cocoa to secure a loan. They used the cocoa as a guarantor to secure a loan that the government will produce over 307,000 tons of cocoa, which they failed to. Let's listen to Randy Abbey, the CEO of Cocoa Board. Let's listen to what he said.
Did you ever, as a journalist, did you ever hear that there was a rollover of 333,000 tons? That Cocoa Board had sold 333,000 tons for 2,600, and that is what was affecting the pricing for 24-25. Were you ever told that? This is was something that Cocoa Board hid from everybody, and that is why it was 4,850, because in 23-24 Cocoa Board signed contracts for cocoa that it could not deliver, not 333,767 tons, sold at 2,600. So in 24-25 we were using high price cocoa to pay for 2,600, and that is what brought the weighted average down.
So that was the second issue that was also raised by CEO, the CEO, the board chairman for Cocoa Board, raised, Randy Abbey, that's not only the issue. There is another issue that even that again that the government is still owing 100,000 tons of cocoa that he has not paid. You, the cocoa farmer, are producing you've not produced yet the cocoa, but the government has already taken money and used that as a collateral before the cocoa is already produced.
We have done about 230,000 and we are taking on 100,000 to 25, 26. That is what also has affected the weighted average. But we are doing a 7.2 instead of 4,850. So we are reeling from that 333,000 sold at 2.6 in 23-24 that we couldn't supply. And so we're using high price cocoa to pay for this, and that affects the weighted average.
This is my honest review on this. Even if the price remain at 10 cedis, 70 pesos, if the government of the day are able to clear the 100 tons that were in deficit that MPP did not produce after the money they collected, they are able to settle that debt. I believe that the subsequent year, they will have a major increment in the money, even though the dollar still remained at the same city. So there was a Joy News report where they were talking about that the amount the government increase was about 62.58%, but which actually the government promised 70%. They were able to get 62.58%, which is almost what they promised to do. But I believe in the subsequent year, if all things be equal and they are able to clear those debts that was already in place, I think cocoa farmer will have some money. They will have some money than what they got this year.
Per the new regulation in terms of using the cocoa beans, in terms of the ones that we were not able to supply last season and the current circumstance, that will give you that 70% that the government actually promised.
So I heard some people varying when it comes to the prices. Some people were saying it's 6,500. Some people were saying it's 7,000. Some people are saying a lot of things. But I believe that the 128 cedis they added to it, is it good? For me, no, it is not good. But when you look at the current circumstances, what really transpired before those things happen, I believe that the subsequent year, the government will try his best to do better than what they have done this year if we are able to clear the debt. So, but one of the things I think the government are not fair to the farmers also is that when the dollar appreciates, the government of the day is supposed to increase the cocoa price, but when it appreciates, they don't do that. They just maintain the price as it is, even though when the dollar is getting strength. So thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Your contribution is very important to me. God bless you. I'll see you in my next one.